Hello and welcome to the Daily Dose of Safety with Dr. Charlie Cartwright. So today I want to talk about one of the key aspects of leadership and of keeping people safe, which is trust. And I've done a lot of research on this, and I'm in the middle of writing a book. Well, I'm not in the middle anymore. I'm towards the end, so I'm really excited about that. But there's an entire chapter on trust. And I think it's one of the most underestimated aspects of leadership. And in order for people to allow us to lead them, in order for people to follow us, they must trust us. And if they don't trust us, then our opportunity to move and influence them in a positive direction, in a safe direction, is drastically diminished, if not totally eliminated. So trust is at the foundation of our leadership. It is foundational. So how do we build trust? Well, one of the things we must avoid are things that make people lose trust in us, or things that would, yeah, damage the trust that they have in us, right? And there's some simple, really, really simple things. And like, as a safety professional, we got to walk our talk. Okay, so we have to be actively practicing the things that we teach. Too many times I've been in a vehicle with a safety professional, and I'm in the passenger seat and they're driving down the road. What do they do? Unbelievable to me. Unbelievable to me. People see that, and then we talk about safety and not texting and driving. Do they trust us? Are they going to believe in us? Absolutely not. So trust is really key. And if you do the research on trust and understand that of all the traits that people want in a leader, trustworthiness is number one. It's at the top. So anything we do, anything we say, anything we write, anything we type, we've got to make sure that that's going to build trust. And if it's not, then we shouldn't do it. We got to find a different path. Okay. And so our daily actions, the words that come out of our mouth, we're steadily building trust or eroding it. And we must build it in order for people to listen to us, right? And allow us to lead them. One of the challenges that we have as a nation is mental health, mental wellness, suicide prevention. It's a huge challenge in our country. And there's not really an adult age group that's not affected, right? Starting when adolescents all the way up through people 65 years old to 75 years old. It's a concern. And I was amazed a few years to find out that statistically, it's the number one killer in people 45 to 55 years old, 55 to 65 years old, 65 to 75-year-old males, right? Number one. Unbelievable. So, where does our leadership fall within that? It's a multi-dimensional issue. It's a complex issue, but I believe one of the solutions, and a major portion of the solution, is leadership, right? And here's a question. When our people are struggling with their mental health, struggling with their well-being, do they trust us enough to tell us? It's a great question, isn't it? We've got to build the type of relationship where they trust us enough to tell us that they're struggling. They trust us enough to tell us that they need help. They trust us enough to tell us that they're thinking about harming themselves. Trust us enough to tell us that they're thinking about leaving this world. That's a big deal. And take another step with safety. Do they trust us enough to tell us they don't understand? right? If there's a process or a procedure they don't clearly understand, do they trust us enough to tell us? Or are they afraid of what people will think, what we will think? So, hey, I'm not gonna let you know. I'm just gonna try to figure it out on my own, and that can be catastrophic. So we've got to build the trust within our teams, within our people, so that there's an open dialogue. We can have these discussions, right? If someone doesn't believe in the seatbelt policy, right? Putting your seatbelt on when the vehicle's in motion, they don't believe in it. They trust us enough to bring it up. Hey, I don't believe in this. Well, why don't you believe in it? Well, I grew up and my dad told me this story, and ever since then, as a child, I've never believed we should wear seatbelts. I don't think it's the safest way to go from A to B. We need to have those conversations, real conversations with people. I was a kid that grew up. My dad didn't believe in seatbelts, and he had this story he would tell me and my sister anytime we brought it up. And you grew up in a household like that. As an adult, you have a belief, even if that belief's not actively running in the in front of your face, it's running in the background, and it affects your decisions, right? And until when people have beliefs, until those beliefs are challenged, they're maintained subconsciously. So we've got to be able to know those and have honest discussions. I remember I was working with a construction company some years ago. We brought up the importance of fall protection and taking the time to plan to have the equipment with you, to put the equipment on, to use it. Here's the parameters of its use. And don't ever think, well, it's only going to take me a second. I can lean out off the scaffold and adjust that panel. I just don't want to have to go all the way down and go across the building and get my fall protection and come back up the lift. I'm just going to get this done. So I remember we had 3 groups of superintendents we were training. And at the end of the first meeting, one of the superintendents came up to us and said, hey, I hate to admit this, but I'm guilty of that. I'm glad you guys brought this to my attention because I've made that mistake a number of times. I won't do that anymore. Because it only takes one slip and then you fall to your death or a serious injury, right? So the next day, we had another group. So the general manager told the story and said, hey, we had a superintendent come forward afterward. Said, nobody's going to get in trouble, but show of hands, how many people have done that? Every hand in the room went up. So that was an honest conversation, right? Now, since then, and it's been 3 years since that organization had the three safest years in the history of the company. Well, what was built that day? Trust was built, right? People could have open conversations, honest conversations. We understood what their beliefs were. We were able to talk through those, and now they have a safer culture, safer environment, safer workplace. And we can all do the same. So that's my message for today. I hope this finds you well. And until next time, take care.